Alright, HSS, Algebra 1 Honors. We're going to go ahead and look at the reteach for quiz 9.5, 9.8, okay? So, the main thing is, although each problem can have its own subtle difference, the overall approach is the same, okay? So, I think 8's a good one to generalize into any other problem, okay? We discussed this before, and here it is again, is we're looking at these inequalities, and the main issue is the denominator, right? These fraction situations. So that's where we think LCM. Okay. You can investigate that on your own if you're not familiar, or you can ask me about it. So for a question like this, we're going to see that 54 is going to be the perfect LCM. Okay. So simply we're going to multiply each term by 54. Okay, that means this guy. Multiply this entire situation. Okay, that's a term. And so is this one out here by itself. Okay. So let's go and move forward. Half of 54 is 27. Okay. Here, if I take 54 and divide by 3, right? Just like I did 54 divided by 2 to get 27. I'm going to go ahead and get 18. Then I multiply by the numerator, which gives me this. Okay. That's an A, of course. And one of the main reasons why we picked 54 is so it can cancel out over here. Okay. All right. Now, again, when you look at all of these, they're all initially going to start the same way, okay, with that LCM. Next, what is my duty is to look and see what I can do next, okay? I can see that there's not much to do, but there is a lot going on here. So this value out here can get distributed inside, okay? So once again, I'm going to be able to divide 126 by this 3, okay, which is going to give me 42. And I'll multiply that by this numerator. Okay. So I get 462. Okay. Negative. And now that I've distributed to this term here, I'm going to go ahead and distribute it over here to the 1. Okay. So it went into this term right here and this one. Okay. So yeah, I mean, let's get out of the way. These are some difficult values, numbers that we're working with, but you guys are more than able to handle that. Okay. Now we get to this step, and you take a look, and you realize that you can combine like terms. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. 27 with 126. Okay, which is going to give me 153. Okay. Now at this step, can I simplify combining terms? No, there's nothing like that. So now I've got to start jumping to both sides, okay, which is the solution process. So typically I ask what we do here. Most of you guys answer subtract this term, right, this constant term. And we're left with 0, 4, 15, okay, 15, 40. And everybody knows what to do here, which is divide by negative 462. Okay, A, and this is a good example once again, just because dividing by negative or multiplying by negative means I get a sign switch. And with some thought, I see that 154 is going to divide into both. Okay, so that's going to leave me 10 over 3. The whole thing's negative. Okay. Now, I don't think I have to, but I'll do it anyways. Right, how did I reduce that fraction? You guys know the drill. This is 154 times 10. 154 times 3. Or in this case, negative 3. Okay. So the next step would be to graph it. And in simple terms, we can identify the negative 10/3. The important thing is the direction, right? This would read A is less than or equal to, so I'm going to hit this direction, close circle. Okay. Alright, so before we move on, this is roughly what? Negative 3 1/3. Okay, or exactly that. Alright, so that's kind of the tougher of the material we looked at. The other portion that you'll be asked in terms of recovering your credit for that quiz is these kinds of problems, okay, solving proportions. So we've got two looks at them, but they're both proportions, right? 11 through 20, you'll see that the denominator is basically just a numerical value. And for 21 through 30, we've got some kind of algebraic expression at times. Okay. Same process, so let's go ahead and start with, we'll say 18. Okay. So we have, and this is related to, that cross multiplication you guys do. But once again, we're in a situation where we have a fraction situation like earlier, and we want to go and cancel that by identifying the LCM, right? The least common multiple here is 20. Okay, so you guys can afford the mental math. If I distribute it to this term, 20 divided by 4 is 5, times 8 is 40. Now I distribute it here, 20 divided by 5 is 4 times that. You do the quick math, and equals 10. Okay. Alright. And the last one we'll do here is 28. Okay. There's a negative in there. Let's see here. Alright. So let's go through basically the same process here. Okay, so we've got negative 12 x minus 1 equals negative 2 x minus 6. Okay. I'm going to look at the whole thing and identify the least common multiple. Now, because these are algebraic expressions, I don't know the exact value, so that itself is as close to a value as I'm going to get. Okay, so I'm going to identify the least common multiple exactly as this times this, because this will cancel here and this one will cancel there. Okay, so when I distribute this over here, okay, this and this will cancel, right? Something divided by itself cancels, but this negative 12 now gets multiplied with this expression, and when I multiply this whole thing now to this side, this and this will cancel, so the negative 2 will get multiplied times that. Okay. So this one's a little more work, but the initial starts the same. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. Negative times a negative positive. Same thing here. Okay, now at this situation, I got an x over here, x over here. So it's not so much combine like terms, but just start kind of canceling stuff out. Okay, so let's go and subtract 2. Okay. Now what I can do is go ahead and move over the x on that side, plus 12x. Okay, it's going to go ahead and cancel on this side. 70 equals 10x. Divide both sides by x, and I have. Okay. That's a wrap. Okay, rehearse that, and I'll call you back so we can give you a second chance to show mastery. Okay.